Hello and welcome back to my Mandalorian Season 3 review series. Normally I review new movies and television shows, but today it's all about Mando, baby. Today we're talking about the third episode of Season 3, The Convert. It was written by Noah Kluwer and Jon Favreau and is based on the franchise created by George Lucas. It was directed by Lee Isaac Chung. This episode starts out with Din and Bo-Katan returning from their mission to Mandalore. They're near Bo's castle when they're attacked by TIE interceptors. A dogfight breaks out between them and the fighters. Din and Bo both pull off some slick moves and destroy the initial batch. They're about to count their chickens when a large number of ships shows up on the scanner and they see that Bo's castle has been destroyed by a bombing run. Din convinces Bo to run and they head out. Then the episode switches perspectives to Dr. Pen Pershing. If you don't remember who this guy is, he was the scientist working under Moff Gideon, experimenting with Grogu's blood. The cowardly little twerp who seemingly had a change of heart. Now in the New Republic, we see him give a speech about his rehabilitation and how he's glad to serve the New Republic. He tells a story about his mother and his motivations for starting research into cloning and caps the night off by talking with the various guests. When he returns home, he meets a group of former Imperials like him and gets invited to drink with them. He recognizes a woman named Elia Kane in the group as an officer from Moff Gideon's ship. He and the female officer start to bond by exploring the city and talking about their transition and, more importantly, his research. She puts the idea into his head that he should continue it. Pen starts to think about it throughout the next day and comes to the conclusion that his research actually would be a great benefit to the New Republic. He goes to see the woman and she comes up with a plan to steal a mobile lab for him from his work. He initially hesitates, but after another day of consideration, he ends up back at her apartment ready to go. The two sneak onto a train and jump off near the processing center where he works. They then sneak onto a Star Destroyer in the junkyard section, and on board he finds the equipment that he needs, but the two are caught while they're leaving. It's revealed that the woman is an officer of the New Republic, and she tricked him into committing a crime. They take him to the detention center and put him into a modified mind flayer. They turn it on to a low setting, but Elia stays behind as the others leave and turns it back up. We switch back to Bo-Katan and Din arriving at the home of the Children of the Watch. They argue with Pre Vizsla for a bit before he takes them inside to see Rook cast. Rook takes the water sample from Din and drops it into a bowl to confirm its authenticity. She's convinced by what she sees and she welcomes both Bo and Din back into the clan and offers them a place to stay. And that's where the episode leaves off. So less Din than I was expecting and a lot more Pen Pershing than I ever cared to see. But the fight at the beginning was cool and Bo getting redeemed was a nice touch. The story for this episode felt a little out of character for the show and definitely trends into boring territory more than anything else. We spend very little time with Din, Grogu, and Bo, only getting to see them fight at the beginning and meet up with the Children of the Watch at the end. The rest of the episode isn't obviously relevant to the main story of the show, and while I think they will tie it in later, it felt jarring to just suddenly jump over to this side character we haven't seen in a while with no explanation as to why. The seeming purpose of this episode is to introduce us to the antagonist of the season, but we spend most of the episode on a mundane relationship between Pershing and Kane. Neither character is all that interesting, and their journey amounts to a bit of talking and walking around a Coruscant street fair, not paying for the train, and getting caught after openly walking into a junkyard. It isn't clear why Pershing is working at data entry when he's an accomplished scientist, especially when his introduction is giving a speech to the high society of the New Republic. He's got valuable data in his head, he's highly educated, and scientists seem like they're always in demand. Then, their sneaking onto the train didn't really make sense either, given that they could have been caught before even getting to their destination, and it's not like paying a few dollars for the train ticket would have tipped anyone off to their presence or plan. There's also no one monitoring the mind flayer at the end. Would they really leave a person unattended that was having their brain shocked? I get that the episode was trying to get across the idea that the New Republic isn't that much different from the Empire. But why in God's name would they even retrofit a torture device and not mechanically limit the output to stop it from being used for torture? They have literally zero safety precautions around this device. There are just too many plot holes for me to find the story plausible, even in a universe with space wizards and glowing plasma sticks. The majority of the screen time is split between Omid Abtabi's Pen Pershing and Katie M. O'Brien's Elia Kane. Neither of them is overly charismatic, but they do hit all the emotional beats well enough. I'm not entirely sure if it's the characters they're playing or their lack of charisma, but the two of them don't have much chemistry between them, with him just looking like a lost puppy next to her, and her not so subtly pushing him where she wants him to go. Both of their performances were kind of bland and tropey, and without a big tie-in, it was hard to get invested in either of them. We don't even know if we'll see Pen or Elia in a big way again. Production-wise, the episode starts with a fun space battle between Bo, Din, and some Imperials. The space battle looks great, and sees both Din and Bo pull off some cool moves, but only lasts about 5 minutes. After that, we're stuck looking at this giant CGI city that's made out of sound stages and paintings. The actual locations are interesting, but it's often apparent that they're on a soundstage as the background tends to look a little flat and out of focus. Most of the time, it actually feels like we're watching actors sitting in front of a painting, and that feeling took me right out of the episode. The costumes are well done, and there are a number of odd-looking aliens wandering around the city streets that were fun to look at. But beyond that, Coruscant was just another bland, bustling city. The street fair sells ice candy that looks like little colored light bulbs, and consists mostly of people just standing around. We don't see many of the attractions or get to participate in any of the excitement and fun. We didn't even find out what flavor of candy he got. It just didn't sell any part of Pershing's story for me. Sound-wise, the episode is well done. Star Wars always has high-quality orchestrals backing all of its scenery. During the bits with Din and Bo, it works perfectly. The battle is intense with lots of pounding drums, intense screeches, and it only gets faster and more impactful as the fight reaches its climax. After that, the soundtrack tries to follow the mood that the writers want to have behind the scenes, but having tense, dangerous music behind two people skipping out on the train fare just doesn't make it any more dangerous. It just makes it feel overdramatic. The soul might be misplaced for most of the episode, but the music still fits relatively well with what they're going for. It just doesn't work in practice. Like the tense music, the rest of it is trying to support a story and actors that just aren't matching up well, and it makes even the music sound out of tune. Overall, I found the episode to be pretty boring. The 15 minutes we got of Bo and Din were actually super interesting, but Pershing's story isn't relevant yet to the main story, and they really aren't doing anything interesting or new with him or Kane as characters. In the future, I expect we'll see Bo learning from Din about the way, but I hope that she uses that time to teach him about the flaws in their ideology too. Seeing the mythosaur seemed to have scared her back to religion, and it's great to see her back in the fold among the other Mandalorians, but she's totally right about their society and how cult-like it is. I also hope that Elia being back means that Moff Gideon is about to make a big reappearance, or maybe somebody more menacing like Grand Admiral Thrawn. They did comment on how many ships the Imperial Warlord had. As for a rating for this episode, I think this was a disappointing showing, 4 out of 10. Remember guys, those are just my thoughts on the episode. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Bye-bye guys!